morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien and Bubba here on Saturday, June 22nd. Sitting in for Paul Harvey. Stand by for commentary. Well, there's one thing I know that me and Mr. Harvey would be 100% on the right track, and that's the U.S. presidency. The death of the U.S. presidency started almost immediately after President George Washington left office in 1797. And, well, we are probably looking at the demise of the office today. To give you an examples here, President Trump doesn't know what the office is, really. The office is not you acting like a big bully, which he has done, and then a big sissy, which he has done, and trying to explain it to the American public. There are certain things you don't explain to the American public. And we'll get to that in a second. But I'm pretty sure that Mr. Harvey would be down the same road if he were here. Here's the dilemma. President Trump is a bully to his domestic rivals here. I mean, he treats them like they were dirt and really goes out of his way to defame them, which could be an articles of impeachment, but that's a different story. But when it comes to international, he's a big wimp. Look at how he treats Russia, China, and Iran, North Korea. China, he's imposing tariffs, which only comes back to bite Americans in the ass. That's crazy. And then he's chummy with North Korea, and then you got China and Russia behind the back saying, "Hey, Kim, we got something better over here. Yoo-hoo." Yeah. And now he's got a situation with Iran. This week was the latest example of his disastrous administration. Number one, he doesn't have any advisors. Number two, he doesn't have any cabinet members. His advisors suck. His cabinet members are non-existent because he fired them because they had their own point of view. Hint, President Trump, cabinet members should have their own point of view because they don't work for you. They serve the U.S. in the capacity of secretaries of whatever they're doing. Secretary of State, Defense, Treasury, Commerce, whatever it is. That's their point of view. And they're only giving you their point of view so you can make a good decision. Okay, and give you a hint. The problem that you got with Iran here, I'll give you actual things of what other presidents did in action, situations of what would happen. And I know most people would say it's crazy, but if you take away the big stuff and look at the little stuff here, equate the Iran crisis today with the missile crisis of 1962. You had two adversaries in 1962, the U.S. and the Soviet Union, just like you have U.S. and Iran today. And the crux was Cuba in 1962, which was a client state of the Soviet Union. The crux is the Strait of Hormuz, which the whole Europeans need for their oil. The U.S. could say care less about that. They're supposed to be self-dependent, right? At least that's what they tell us. And here's the problem. The advisors under President Kennedy were voting for invade Cuba. We must invade Cuba and get rid of those missiles. Well, President Kennedy looked at that and he says, okay, we'll invade Cuba. And then we're in a protracted war. Probably World War III with the Soviets. But the least, a protracted war in Cuba, which lasts years. He was trying to avoid that. Funny thing, he had already started a protracted war that would kill the succeeding administration of President Johnson, Vietnam. But anyway, that's a different story. Uh, Here, President Kennedy used his advisors and went outside of his advisors. He brought in Dean Acheson, an old timer from the Cold War era, the late 1940s, and he asked for Dean Acheson's opinion. And he also went and asked for other people's opinion. He didn't go out there and say, okay, we're going to take our intel. There's missiles in Cuba. He ordered a special reconnaissance by Major Anderson to go into Cuba. Major Anderson didn't survive. But the film showed that there was missiles there. And the path he chose was blockade. That's a story in itself. But coming back to President Trump, the Iranians are playing footsie and cat and mouse with President Trump here. First, they shoot at a unmanned drone and miss it on purpose, trust me. They missed it. Second, they shoot it again. This time they don't miss. There's a strike ordered, and President Trump at the last moment says, oh no, I can't do this. It would look bad on my record. Plus the people will die over there. Really, President Trump? Major Anderson gave his life in Cuba so that President Kennedy could get the right results so he could make the right decision. That, I tip my cap to President Kennedy and Major Anderson, because he knew that he was on a no-win scenario in a suicide mission, that his odds of coming back from Cuba was going to be nil. He knew that. Any flyer would know that. But you, President Trump, you bully everybody else here in the States, and then you act like a wimp over there because you're going to lose 150 people that are going to get killed. Do you think the Iranians care about their people? They don't. But they sure care about making you look bad. And your intel, was it as bad as President Bush's was in Iraq, which he didn't double check? This is what I'm saying, Americans. President Trump here is a wimp when it comes to foreign policy. He doesn't know anything about it, and he doesn't have any advisors or cabinet members that can stand up to him and say, President, we have this issue, because he'll fire them. So this is what I'm saying. Your presidency is doomed. This is your favorite alien sitting in for Paul Harvey, which I know would agree me if he was alive today about this. Have a good day.